Hi there, it's Leila, your edible gardening teacher. Last October, I ran a 3-hour workshop for busy educators with no gardening experience, how to teach your students how to grow food. I have chopped these 3 hours of video into bite-sized video pieces for busy educators and teachers like yourself so that you can watch online at your own leisure and learn. And this is the 8th of this video series. Enjoy! So this is a garden in another school, raised bed, and this is a sweet potato. And as you can see, we just have a little tiny marigold here, and a little tiny squash over there, and a little bit of carrots trying to grow here. And in spring, that's how it looks like. Turned into this. As you can see, our squash is going in the sweet potato is going up, and all of these, and we had some dill that are growing here. The marigold actually didn't survive very well in there because it was way too crowded. And then it turned to this, and you see these are coming up. Some were harvested and some are left to give us seeds. Another example, we had kale in between. This is all radish. You can see some of the radish actually showing up. And at the back we had lettuce. We put the lettuce at the back of the kale because we want the kale that grows taller to shade the lettuce, because the lettuce, this is south facing, and lettuce without a shade turns bitter pretty quickly. We harvested this radish with the kids. It was very exciting actually. And then instead we put compost, and then we put our tomatoes. So you can do all of that before you leave for summer. So you can plant something that's short maturing, harvest it with the kids, and then put something that's a little longer maturing that you can come back to.
Sorry, for this school, what sort of system do they have in place for the summer?
They have a summer camp,
Okay.
so they have people around to do the watering. So we were safe when it comes to that. But if you don't have anybody that waters from the school community, like there's no daycare that's running there and nothing like that, parents. Usually parents are really helpful. This is a little bit later. The kale is getting bigger. We did harvest some of the lettuce, but we left the rest of them to go bolt up and give us. Oops. I put the picture there and then turned it, and then the software thinks that it has to do this. I'm sorry about that. So this is another one of their beds, and this is arugula, very short maturing, and this is in spring. And it's already going to flower and seed. This is how it looked like a little later, and this is the arugula that's filled with seeds, and we harvested the seeds. Those are some examples. Okay, what do I teach in my program, and why do I teach that? I talk about all the natural elements that are important in gardening. I talk about seed, sun, soil, water, wind. Every one of these is one session in my program, and half an hour of it I talk about the lesson. We watch videos together. There are some books, depending on the age group. There's some books, we sometimes read books, we sometimes watch. Always we watch a video. So I go on YouTube and I'm always in search for really good educational videos to show to the kids, and I try to match it with the topic of the day. And the kids are very excited, and they keep asking, are we going to watch the video? Are we going to, especially the smaller ones. So that gets them excited. And we always have hands-on. So when I talk about sun, for example, I teach them the sun direction, which is a skill that even a lot of adults don't have these days, which is horrible. So if you leave an adult in some place sunny and ask them which way is south, they can't tell you, which is horrible. I think that's a skill that we need to teach the kids. It is related to gardening because you need to know which side of your building, your house or your school is south facing or west facing or east facing, to know what type of plants you can or cannot plant there. But it's also, I think it's a life skill to know your direction, looking at the shadows, depending on if it's in the morning or in the afternoon. So it might be a little bit too much for like kindergarten kids, but my elementary students, I always do a full, like I have a Lego house that I built, and I have a sun. I got it from the dollar store, those metal suns. I don't know if you've seen them. And then we practice with the Lego and this, and then if it is sunny and the weather is good, we go outside, we circle the school, and we talk about which way is it, why is it sunny, why are the shadows here. I take them to the north, and they're like, any time of the day, there's no sun there, and I tell them, okay, what do you think, if we plant our tomatoes here, do you think it's going to grow? Do you think it's going to give us any tomatoes? Do you think it's going to ripen? Whatever. So we talk about all of those. Soil, I take to my classroom 3 different types of soil. The sand, which most of them are already familiar with because they've seen it in sand boxes and playgrounds. Clay and loam, and they get to touch it, feel it. We run water through it so that they see how that type of soil reacts to the water, that the sand lets the water go through pretty quickly, and the clay holds on to the water, and the clay, you can form it into a ball, so they get to play with it and make different figures and whatever they want with the clay, and then we try to do the same with the sand, and they see the difference, that it's impossible to do it with the sand, no matter how much you get it wet. And then we talk about which one do you think, I ask them, which one do you think is better for your plants? Some say clay, some say the sand. And then we end up explaining that none of them are good because this holds way too much water and this holds no water, this is too dry, this is too wet. And then I introduce the loam, and then they touch the loam and they see and feel, and we run water through it. We see that it does hold on to just enough water, but it's not like clay that it gets way too wet. So all of that. So they get to know their soil. The idea that sand is a type of soil is usually very new to them. They think sand is just something in the playground for them to play with. So that for them to get to know their soil is very important. Water, again we talk about water. With a little bit of older students, I talk about the shortage crisis, the freshwater shortage crisis on the planet and all of that. We talk about why do we need water and so if they're smaller, we talk about what are the different things we do with water at home. So the first thing that comes to their mind is we wash our hands, we flush the toilet, we take a bath, and usually what they cannot come up with is that we cook with it. So we water our garden and all of that. We cook with it, it's very important, it's part, a huge amount of part of our body, whatever. And fresh water is important, keeping the water clean. It's all related to another experiment you can do. If you take a stalk of celery, and then you've seen this, I'm sure, and you put it in a colored water, and then cut it after a while in the middle, the seed that the water comes out. So if that water is dirty or contaminated, it will go all the way up to your vegetables, and so it's part of that. Plant parts is another thing. I talk about edible flowers, edible seeds, fruits is another session, root vegetables, leaf vegetables, herbs, etc. I bring examples and they see them and we touch them and smell them, especially when it comes to herbs. I asked them if they can guess the name of that herb. I have to be a little bit faster, I think we're running out of time. Animals and insects, very, very, very important. They are so afraid at the beginning of the program of a tiny little worm. Like I had one child that when we were in the garden and she just started screaming, and I turned to her and there was a little worm coming out of the soil in front of her and she was just standing there screaming. And I was like, so I went and I took the worm up and I was like, oh, little wormy, don't be afraid of the screaming child, whatever. And then she looked at me for a while and she couldn't believe that this thing that moves is not dangerous and it could be, talked to as, something that consider it. Maybe it's not that horrible. Like everything, bees.
Bees, I know.
Like they go nuts. Like I always take an assistant with me when I go outdoors because if a bee comes around, like they run. And God knows that like in places like that one, like there's driveway right over there.
Yeah.
And if my program is at 4 o'clock, there are parents coming by to pick up their kids and all that, and the kids will just run all over the place in every direction. So I think it's very important that we start to get them familiar with the other creatures that live in the natural world. Unfortunately, especially in urban areas, we have taught our kids that they are separate from the natural world, that they are not part of it, that nature is something that's out there and we are not part of nature. Sorry. So I talk about that, and we talk about worms, bees, butterflies, ladybugs, and if I'm running a fall program, I usually try to match that session with the Halloween week. And what I do is that I call them garden heroes, and we make masks of ladybugs and bees and the garden heroes and spiders. The boys are very excited about the spider masks and frogs and lizards and all of that, and then we make the masks and they can take it home, and if they want they can use it in Halloween. So give them this idea that there are some of these animals and insects that actually are very helpful and useful and necessary for our garden. If you haven't watched the previous videos, they're all on this very YouTube channel. Make sure that you go and watch them. And the rest of these video series are coming out soon, and I'll send the link to my subscribers. After this video series, I also send a lot of free material about this topic of edible gardening in schools to my subscribers. So if your email is not on my subscribers list yet, make sure that you put it there, and here's the link to it. I'll see you in the next video.